My name is Lucy Wanjau. I am the CEO, Target Mart Limited. Target Mart Limited is an FMCG distribution business, currently franchising and distributing for Zara Cosmetics in Kenya. So the challenge was the business, really. You know, I happened to grow a business over the last 5 years. And then one day, not one day, like over a period of time, I was just having challenges. One day it's consignment clearing, another day is HR, another day is a different thing. And I got to a point where I was just telling my husband, I'm ready to just close the doors and go home and raise my children. And then I started interacting with the Sandbox experts after that. During one of my interactions, I interacted with Kirinya, one of the directors of Wild, who introduced and recommended that I attend Scalarizer. I have learned how to identify the customer and who and how to speak to the customer. I mean, not just the customer, but how do then you get to your target market? How do you speak to them? What language are they going to hear? And so that has led to, smaller resources going to the right direction and reaching the right client and bigger impact with less resources. I attended a one-day workshop with other entrepreneurs conducted by the best trainers, I believe, very clear on, strategy being a response and not a reaction. And going through Scalarizer helped me be very specific on what are the pain points and being prepared. It would be very difficult to say I'm at 10%, 20% implementation of everything I needed to do. I now have a fully implemented ERP system, and I have an outsourced HR person who has helped and trained the team on onboarding, managing resources, being HR, contracting, having specific job descriptions and performance reviews every so often for the team. Have I tried others? Maybe at the time of struggling and thinking how you can get yourself out of the problem, I tried thinking of probably setting up a board of directors. And so I had done this course for board readiness, and then Scalarizer made it even different by showing me not just getting other people on board who might just struggle as much without systems, and it was simpler just setting up the systems first, which is interesting because the systems have been able to resolve all those issues that we were having. I would very much recommend Scalarizer to business owners. So would I still do it 5 years in? I would. And even better then, when you already have built, and the issue is probably laying down the structures. So it still works for both, whether you're starting the business and you want to come up with a strategy, identify what you need to invest in to achieve the overall goal that you're trying to achieve. I would recommend it.
I chose Nexford University because I wanted to experience the American education. Nexford University is fairly affordable in comparison to all other online universities that I saw. In addition, the learning style offered at Nexford suited very well with my learning style, and I thought that that was the best option for me. My Nexford degree has helped me in my career by opening up my horizons. I have gotten an edge in terms of career because of the upskilling and the additional knowledge I've been able to gather from my career, which I've been able to incorporate in my work, and that has just made me stand out from my team members.
I decided to choose an American university over a local one because based on my own findings, I find an American university is more advanced than most of the universities we have in Kenya, and that means even the skills that I'm getting are more advanced and they'll put me in a better place in the market. I would definitely recommend Nexford University to my fellow Kenyans because of a few reasons. Number one, it's because of the affordability of the fees compared to other unis. Number two, it's because of the kind of quality education you're getting with the university, which is something entirely different from other universities. Number three, would be because of the 24/7 support from the academic successors. I think for me that really goes a long way.
I was interested in an online university, and so looking around our local universities, I thought we may not have been advanced technologically, and so I chose the American one over ours, knowing that America is well advanced beyond Kenyan status. Nextford degree has given me a lot of skills to grow my business. I have opened up my mind to a lot of new skills that I may have come across in the local studies, but Nextford gives me the experience of what I really need for the market.
I decided to join Nextford University because it is essentially a global community, the opportunity to work with colleagues from all over the world, as well as to be part of a company whose mission is to provide affordable quality education. I believe what sets Nextford apart from other universities is Nextford offers quality education and global business skills at an affordable price, as well as the curriculum is very flexible to easily fit within your schedule.
I believe what sets Nextford apart from other universities is because they're digital first. Now, if you look at most traditional universities, most of their curriculum and infrastructure was built for physical learning. And so if you look at Nextford, it was digital first. So that means that the infrastructure and curriculum that they built was built for online learning. And so they've been able to really close the gap in the education sector by delivering education in this kind of way, which allows them to be an industry leader. And I do believe for traditional universities to actually play catch up, it will take them a lot of time and effort to actually adapt their curriculum and also their infrastructure to get to where Nextford is.
I think Nextford is changing higher learning in Kenya because we are bringing in accessibility and affordability in higher education. When we talk about accessibility, we are a tech-enabled university, and what this does is that it breaks down the barriers to learning. And when we talk about affordability, it means that we are providing higher education to those who need it, and this is regardless of your age, your gender, or your socioeconomic demographics.
All right, all right. Greetings, everyone. I hope you are well this afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us in this insightful webinar that we have planned for you, that where we'll be tackling how to use data to maximize your marketing efforts. If you're joining us from Nairobi, I know the weather hasn't been great, so I hope you have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a cup of chocolate, even maybe some milk for those of you who take milk beside you, so that you don't move away from your screen, and you can make sure that you don't miss out on anything that we are sharing with you this afternoon. My name is Robin Jenga. I will be your moderator for this webinar, for this session. I'm also the head of marketing and partnerships at Wild International, where we help businesses from all over the world to be able to make better decisions that help them scale their businesses and be competitive in the market. We are expecting quite a number of people to join us today. So as we are doing that, let me just state that this isn't just a webinar. It's an opportunity for you to connect with other entrepreneurs, to connect with other people. So as we wait for people to slowly stream in, I would encourage you to head over to the chat section. Let us know your name. Let us know where you're joining us from. And let us know whether it's rainy. You know, we could be suffering here in Nairobi by ourselves, and kumbe in Mombasa, it's hot and sunny, and you guys are enjoying yourselves. So let us know. We want to know how you're doing and where you're joining us from. I can see we have some people who are already letting us know. We have someone, Nasiruddin, joining us from Nigeria. Fantastic. How is the weather in Nigeria? I hope things are well there. I can see Adola from Ethiopia. Karibu sana Adola. I hope all is well in Ethiopia. I can see Bona George joining us from Nakuru. George, how are things in Nakuru? Is it raining there? Can we expect some good harvest from Nakuru? I can see Thomas from the DRC. Karibu sana Thomas. Fantastic, fantastic. I can also see Yusuf from Uganda. You are most welcome. So as we settle in and as we wait for our other attendees to join us, I just quickly want to give you a brief overview of what to expect in this session. We're going to have some opening remarks from Wild International and Nextford, who are the conveners of this webinar. We will just get a quick remark or two about what Wild International does, as well as Nexford. From there, we'll then jump into the actual session of the day, which will be facilitated by Alex Wanjao, who is a marketing expert. After that, we will have a Q&A session. So make sure that you stay or stick with us throughout the entire webinar, as we will be covering any questions that we may have in relation to the training that we are going to take you through today. A few housekeeping rules just to make sure that you get the most out of this webinar. I want to point out 3 critical things that perhaps you can use as we progress with this webinar to make sure that you engage with us and you interact with the webinar as much as possible. The first element I want you to consider or take into account: when you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see a button labeled React with a small love heart there. And that is the button that you're going to use to let us know your emotions towards the entire webinar. If you like what we are saying, feel free to throw us a thumbs up. If you're not too happy with what we are saying, I'm sure there's a sad face there. If you want to applaud something that Alex may say, feel free to just share that or react to what he's saying using that button. The next button is the chat button that is also at the bottom of your screen. As I mentioned, this will be an engaging webinar. We are looking forward to your interactions throughout the webinar. So if you have any suggestions, if you have any comments, anything that you'd like to share with us, feel free to jump over to the chat section and just type that in. Finally, we have the Q&A section. As I mentioned, we will have a Q&A portion of this webinar at the end of it all. So if you have any pressing questions that you would like to ask, make sure that you drop them in the Q&A section. That will be much easier for us to track and find. We'll also be actively tracking the chat section. So as much as possible, if you have a question, you can leave it in the chat, but I would highly recommend that you leave it in the Q&A section so that we can ensure that we can get to it and attend to it. We have a very dedicated team in the back end who are ready and willing to answer any of your questions. So even as we progress, they will be attending to any question that you may have within the presentation or in relation to Wild or Nexford. So I see we are doing well with our attendance. I can see Esther is joining us from Nairobi. She's saying it's cold. Esther, I hope you have a cup of coffee. We also have some people joining us from South Sudan. I can see they're saying that it's a mix of rainy and sunny. So it seems like we are all this, we are in this together. I can see Madong joining us from Istanbul. From Istanbul. So karibu sana Madong, and feel at home. So without further ado, let me take this opportunity to invite the Wild International CEO, Mr. Chris Odongo, who will be giving us a few remarks to let us know a little bit more about what Wild does and, more importantly, why we do it. And he can also tell us where he is. It's raining, is it sunny? Karibu sana Bwana Chris.
Thank you very much, Robert. If you can hear me, you can hear me clearly. Just confirming that you can hear me clearly, yes?
Yes, we can.
All right, fantastic. I think I am so excited to see that people are joining us from all over different places. And that just tells you that this topic is an exciting topic, mastering data-driven marketing, tools and fundamentals. And in today's world, it's part of the reason why we are here. We are also here to talk to you, to teach you, to empower you, and it's a reason for why it's existed. I am thrilled to be here on behalf of Wild International, and we are partnering this time with Nexford University, and you're going to delve into the most powerful game changer of our time, data-driven marketing. At Wild International, we are very passionate that business owners like yourselves who are joining need to have the tools and the skills at hand to be able to connect with their customers. In our strategy sessions, we help you identify the customer needs and of why your customers are buying from you. And beyond that, we also help you to identify where you can find your customers, what you can tell your customers, and how you can connect your customers. In today's digital world, which is very fast-paced, Marketing is not about a great idea or a good tagline. You really have to go into understanding your audience at a deeper level and then be able to make some optimization. Data can help you to be able to get there faster in terms of understanding, and then beyond understanding, data can now help you to craft campaigns that will connect and lead to conversion. Data-driven marketing is the secret sauce. It will move your business from being just good to being unstoppable. It will move your business from being just normal to being scalable.
Chris, sorry to interrupt you. There's quite a bit of background noise, and maybe you could just move a little bit closer to your mic so we can hear you.
I'll try and move closer to the mic.
Okay, so is that better?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so as I was saying that we put this session just because of the entrepreneurs, because we are passionate about that. So even if you're running your own business alone, or you're managing a team, or you're leading a marketing department, we know that you're here because you want to stay ahead of the curve. We know that you're here because you want to grow and you want to make a impact. And so today, our experts are going to help break it all down for you. You're going to be discovering different tools, different ways of working. And our hope is that when you finish this webinar, you will be on your step to becoming a pro in data and a pro in marketing. And you will be able to use data to identify your ideal customer and begin to fine-tune your message and measure results so that you can be able to continuously improve. At Wild, we are powerful and passionate about helping ambitious individuals like you thrive and win. And we are constantly working with business owners through our coaches, through our programs. And I hope that you have taken time to go to our website to see what we have for you. Go to our Facebook page, go to our Instagram pages and see what we are doing. And our partnership with Nexford University's very innovative approach to education, we couldn't have asked for a better partner to bring for you this knowledge-packed session. And you know that Nexford is an online university, so they definitely are very good at understanding how to use data. And today they're going to share with you some of their thinking, some of their ways, and hopefully for us, we believe that you will be able to come out of here and begin your journey to becoming a pro. So buckle up and get ready to take notes, prepare to level up your marketing strategy. I am very, very confident that the growth of your business and your startup and your scale up. Robert, back to you. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much, Chris, for those insightful words. I think you've given us something to think about. In this day and age, it's not enough to just go about your marketing. You have to think through it. You have to think about your customer and go in depth as much as possible if your marketing is going to be successful. So thank you so much, Chris. Next, we'll move over to our partners, Nexford. I will briefly hand over the mic to Joy Oyugi, who will quickly just walk us through what Nexford does. As you've heard from Chris, Nexford are a very, very innovative learning institution. So Joy will let us know a little bit more about that. So karibu sana, Joy. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is Joy, and I'm happy to be here. So I'm just going to take you through all that Nexford has to offer. Just give me a minute here. I want to share my screen with you. Okay. So Nexford University is an online university. So what we do, we provide you quality education at an affordable price. It's an international university and it is accredited. So it can't get any better. So what we do, we work backwards. Yeah, by that I mean, we go to the market, we see the skills that are needed, and then we make our curriculum moving backward, just to make sure that all that you need, the skills and the knowledge that you need, you're going to get once you are here at Nexford. Yeah, so we have a presence in over 110 plus countries. And maybe just another thing to highlight is we work towards making sure you build demand skills. And because the school is accredited, if at all you want to use the courses that you've gained to build it into a degree, it's very much possible as well. The education is very much future focused and competency based. So competency based education is one that we are very keen to make sure that you're going to get the practical skills. So let's touch a little bit about accreditation. So when it comes to accreditation, Nextword University is accredited and it's well acknowledged all over the world. So maybe just our accreditation body is Distance Education Accreditation Commission and also Higher Education Licensure of Commission. So what this means is you can use your certificate is going to hold a lot of weight, so you can use it to further your studies if that is something you desire to do as well. It is also recognized in Kenya. Not only you want to do your bachelor's degree or you want to do your PhD, you actually can do that. So just going back to what I was talking about, so working backwards. So we go to the job market and we highlight exactly what is needed. So most of our courses have 3 segments. So it's a business course that touches on power skills, that touches on technology. So just to touch on, maybe power skills is something that maybe is not very familiar to most people. So power skills basically are skills that are needed in the job market. So skills like problem-solving skills, critical thinking, communication, and negotiation. So most schools don't touch on this, but we're very keen to make sure that we are going to give you everything that you require to actually be successful. So we offer master's degrees. So we have the MBA, we have Master Science in Digital Transformation, we have Master Science in Data Analytics, Master Science Entrepreneurship as well. We also have a bachelor's degree, that is Bachelor's of Business Administration. So under this, we have different specializations where we have artificial intelligence, business analytics, entrepreneurship, and also digital marketing. Also, if you want to do short courses, we do have certificates and courses. So certificates, we have graduate and undergraduate certificates, but also we have courses. So courses are very short. They usually take around 2 months if you want to build specific skills. So, so for certificates, it should take around 5 to 6 months, but for courses, it should take you around a maximum of 2 months. But all you're aiming to learn something in particular, maybe in marketing, you can just identify the exact course you want to learn and just spend around 2 months and then you're done. So that is Nextword for you. Yeah. So maybe just to highlight some of the courses that we actually have that are related to what we're going to talk about today. We have branding and creative direction. We have marketing strategy and planning. We have marketing channels, tactics, and management. We also have digital advertising and search engine optimization. We also have digital marketing analytics. So maybe I'll just go directly so that we can talk about how you can join Nextword. Okay, so when it comes to admission, the usual stages, and then you'll be able to submit them to apply.nextword.edu. Yeah, and then after that, if you want to do certificates, you'll be required to pay an application fee of $25, and then we review your admission papers. So those are your certificates, and then after that, you'll do your tuition payment, and then you start your program. If at all you want to do your courses, we'll review your admission requirements, you'll be able to submit your application, you pay your tuition fee, and then you can start doing the program. So these are the requirements that you're going to require to join Nextword University. So you're going to need your national ID, a passport photo. If you don't have one, you can always take a selfie. And also, you're going to need your official transcript. And if at all you're from a country that does not speak English as a primary language, you're going to need proof of English proficiency. Yeah, so that is what Nextword has to offer. We currently have some partial scholarships. And for you to be eligible, if at all you're working at WILD, you need to be a full-time employee at WILD International. The programs that we have is that you can actually benefit from this scholarship is if you want to do an MBA, a Master Science Data Analytics, or Master Science Entrepreneurship, or Bachelor's of Business Administration. So that's Nextword. Maybe if you could be having any questions, or I can actually cover them at the Q&A. Understand we're a little bit in a fix in regards to time as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Joy. I'm sure people have quite a number of questions. Please drop your questions in the Q&A section, and Joy is ready in the back end to answer any questions that you may have. Joy, I'm sure you've seen that we have people joining us from Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa. I heard you mentioning that you're in over 110 countries. So
Yes, we
all these
are.
people could be potentially your alumni, right?
Yes.
So make sure you visit the Nextford website, have a look at all the courses Joy was talking about. They do have quite a wide array from certificate, degrees to masters. Make sure you check them out and have a look. We'll also be sharing a special surprise about our partnership with Nextford. So make sure that you stay, glued to your screen until the end of the webinar. So thank you so much, Joy. I think we'll catch up with you a bit later once we are jumping into the Q&A session. So, great. I think now I would like us to move to the main dish of this webinar, the thing that has all brought you here, and that is to figure out or learn how to make your marketing more optimized, how to make your marketing resonate better with your audiences. As you're all aware, today's session is more about or geared towards, figuring out how to use data specifically to map out your marketing needs, and using the same data to figure out how then do you communicate with your audiences. Ultimately, the purpose why we market for our brands and for our businesses is so that our businesses can grow, so we can make more money in our pockets. So that's what we're ultimately trying to figure out. The main objective of this is to allow you to make smarter decisions whenever you're doing anything in life. If you have more information about a particular circumstance or a particular situation, and not just marketing, it's much easier for you to make a more informed decision. It's much easier for you to make a better strategy. And I just want to draw it back in terms of our day-to-day lives. I'm sure all of you in one way or another have taken a trip somewhere. Say, for example, you're taking a work trip or maybe even a family trip. It could be a vacation, or maybe even you're going for your dowry negotiations, for your current husband or your current wife. And before you go for that, I want you to juxtapose two scenarios. You're planning to leave from here to, let's say, from Nairobi to, let's say, Nakuru. How do you plan that particular journey? I know for us, especially Kenyans, we like, as we are moving along the way, I think we trust the people on the side of the road more than we trust technology sometimes. And we go asking, we'll stop at a center somewhere and ask, do you know of such and such a place? And how do I get there? And then you'll get directions such as, if you go straight ahead, you'll see a red kiosk. And once you get to that red kiosk, turn left, right? I'm sure we've all been there. And sometimes you get to that red kiosk and you realize the road that you've been told to use is actually more suitable for a motorbike than a car. And you have to use another route entirely. And sometimes when you're planning for a trip, you can use Google Maps, for example, where you type in the destination where you want to go, and it'll give you a very clear path and tell you, it takes 1 hour to get here. These are the alternative routes. For example, right now when it's raining, there could be some obstacles on the road. And it will give you all that and tell you, what is the best way to get to that. And basically that is what data-driven marketing is all about. How do you get to your destination faster and in a more effective way, in a more informed way, so that you don't waste time, getting lost, wasting money, wasting resources, wasting time to get to your ultimate destination. So the person who's going to walk us through that and teach us how to have an active GPS system when we are looking at our marketing is Mr. Alex Wanjau. And right before I invite Alex, maybe I will just give you guys a brief overview of who Alex is. So Alex Wanjau is a performance marketer with over 4 years of experience in both agency and brand environments. He specializes in ad platforms like Meta Ads Manager, Google Ads, as well as tools for analytics, SEO, and email marketing. Alex currently works as a performance marketing executive at Nextford University and has experience working in industries such as fintech, logistics, and has managed clients across various sectors, including financial services, manufacturing, and NGOs. Surely, wapi makofi ya Alex, tafadhali. We have a marketing genius with us here today. So, Bon Alex, karibu sana. The floor is yours. Tell us how to navigate this marketing space so that we can get there more effectively and more efficiently. Karibu sana, Alex.
Asante sana, Robert. So good afternoon, everyone. Name is Alex Wanjau. Hopefully you can see my screen. Let me try try just to share it again. Right. So name's Alex, as Robert has just introduced me. I think I'll skip over the part where I go through my bio. I think he's done a good job at that. And ideally just given a very good introduction to the topic that we're going to be tackling today. So it's about mastering data-driven marketing. And we'll dive into the fundamentals of how to find success in it, but also the tools that you need to use. And it's a topic that's actually quite close to me. As Robert has mentioned, I've been in performance marketing for over 4.5 years now. I'm headed to 5 next year in May. I'm one of those people who keep anniversaries from when they started their first job. But then ideally started in the agency world, as previously mentioned, was there for a year, 9 months. First 9 months, had a mentor, the senior media buyer at the time, who taught me everything that I needed to know, but I needed to fill his shoes after he resigned. So for 1 year, I had to just figure it out on my own. And I was handling quite high maintenance clients such as KFC, MasterCard Foundation, DTB Bank, Unga Limited, just to mention but a few. But there was one that stood out, which was Cellulant. It was in the startup space, still is, but then I just love how fast-paced the environment is. Moved over to Sendy. We all know what happened to Sendy. I was only there for 9 months up until they went into administration, and then moved over to Nexford University, where I've been here for almost half of my career now. I just marked my 2-year anniversary last month, and really my expertise lies in ad platforms, but most importantly, how I use the data that I'm getting from those ad platforms, in collaboration with other analytics tools. My background is in economics, so if you really want to, look for some transferable skills from any other discipline that you're in, performance marketing is definitely a consideration that you should look into. Away from work, I'm a member of Rotary, so you can catch me at any Rotary meeting or community service project near you. I just like giving back to the community whenever I can. That's all about me. We'll just get right into it. So what's data-driven marketing? It's a very heavy term when someone hits you with it. And the main reason why it's a heavy term, it's because it's coming together of two disciplines. So marketing and data analysis are two both broad fields. So marketing is a field on its own, data analysis, data science, also a field on its own. So it's a coming together of these two disciplines to sort of enable you to approach marketing in a very strategic way. And the strategy here is really, being informed by insights from the data that you collect over time. So it's really what Robert was saying. It's starting from somewhere. If you already, have data that's giving you a particular insight into something, why wouldn't you, want to follow what it's actually telling you? And it gets the two most important things for us as business owners, entrepreneurs, marketers on the call. The two things that really bother us when it comes to our businesses and, for the brands that we run, it's targeting and messaging. So targeting, you can think about it in two ways, yeah? So are you targeting the right person? Are you targeting the right audience? But at the same time, are you targeting them in the channels that they're actually in? So you might be targeting the right audience, but probably in a channel that they don't spend majority of their time in. So you're probably not able to resonate with them as well as you'd hope to. And then the second thing is messaging. So you might actually be targeting the right audience in the right channel, but then you're not communicating in a way that feels, very personal to them, that resonates with them to a point where they actually consider your brand or your product or your service. And if you're able to crack these two, targeting both audience and channel and your messaging, then what you find is that you're able to then optimize your campaigns to give you the most optimal results. Now, marketing or what marketers usually do is they come up with these crazy ideas, crazy marketing campaigns. I believe Chris has mentioned that it's something that also as entrepreneurs you find ourselves doing. You think you have the answer without being informed by the market, and that's where market research comes in, and we'll touch on that. And then you just distribute this particular campaign across different channels. But then when you have this, data analysis skill, then you can, be informed by the data. So you're not just shooting in the dark. And a good example that I just wanted to give is last week's saga in the marketing world, really, where we saw two automotive brands go at each other. So there was Jaguar and there was Volvo. So Jaguar's campaign, they were doing a rebrand. They had this logo that really just, did away with the very famous panther that they usually have in their logo. It was just, plain text logo. And the way they actually, the way the advert looked, it didn't have any car. So guys were really critical about it, thinking, okay, if you're a car brand, you're doing away with the one logo that, that one logo that we were familiar with. And then your ad even really lacks, that legacy that we have. And then you have Volvo on this other end who did a very fantastic ad. It was really long. It was against what we as marketers, what we as entrepreneurs would ideally run as an ad campaign. But then it was very emotive. It connected with people just because, they're very big on safety. I think it's rated as the most, it's the safest car rather in the market. And they were really able to, bring out that emotion in that particular ad. Now, when you're comparing the two, it's probably because, Volvo listens to the people and knows what they care about the most. And that's what they actually went with. But then Jaguar on this other end, and that's why many people were critiquing it, is they sounded tone deaf. It's as if, they don't know why people loved or have loved their brand for this long. And so it's really, making use of this data to make this informed decision so that you can always resonate with your audience. I know there's usually, what Henry Ford famously said, that sometimes you might listen to your customers too, and they might misguide you. I think he said something in the lines of, if he would have listened to what the people wanted, he would have brought them better horses, I think faster horses, and he wouldn't have built a car for them. And so sometimes just finding a balance between what the data is telling you, but also, what you actually want to bring into the market. And that, drives us into what are the features of data-driven marketing. Now, there can't be data-driven marketing without data. And so the very first thing is to collect this data. Now, you can collect this data from multiple channels. So I like to give, an example of, say a business, you're a business person who wants to get into an entirely different field. Probably you want to get into e-commerce, yeah? You want to start selling some particular product. It's good for you to actually go into the market, find out if, if people actually want that product. So the very first interaction for your business will be a survey. You're probably going to send it out, confirm, how much are people willing to pay for this product before you even bring it. You might bring something that's too premium and you don't even sell it. And so that's a very fast and the simplest way that you can always collect data. Send out those surveys, get feedback from people. But then again, assuming you've already bought your products based on the feedback that you've gotten from the market and your market research, first order of business for most, new businesses is that they'll set up their social media pages. Now, there's a lot of data that you interact with from, from the content that you post up there. So you're getting all the engagement metrics, you're getting, feedback on what's working and what's not in terms of content. And you can sort of double down on, the content that's working and reduce on the content that's not working, or even do away with it completely. But then that's just about it from an organic perspective. Now, assuming that, people are checking out through your DMs, some of them are coming to your WhatsApp to check out if you don't have a website, you might actually, consider having a website so that you can just smoothen out that process. There's also a lot of data that you collect from a website. And I usually just urge a lot of businesses, if you can just get a website. There's some data points that you miss out by not having your website. And one example I like to give is, if I just went to a business's social media page and, he or she, again, let's use the example of you brought, goods from the East, you have different categories of these products. If I go to your social media pages and I'm just scrolling through the different posts that you've made of the different products, I can't really, from a business perspective, I can't really know what that customer is interested in. But if that person went to my website and was going to the different categories, which have really different URLs, then I can always target based on those URL parameters. So probably they went, case in point, you're selling household goods, and they went to the, trying to find what they could actually be looking for. So cookingware. So you can actually target people who are into cookingware, who are looking for particular pots and pans, and you can target just that very niche audience of people who've actually gone to that particular page and to a particular product. So it's hard for you to do that on social media, especially when you want to categorize based on, visitors of a particular page. So always get a website when you can. Now, for most businesses, they go ahead, probably get a mobile app. If not a mobile app, it's probably a web app. So they can always see the interaction from the point where people download this app, sign up, and probably convert. Case in point, probably you're a travel business, people signing up and then proceeding to actually book a trip or book, a package or an experience with you. But then again, all this data, you kind of have to put it together. Once people convert, you kind of want to keep retargeting or keep remarketing to them, because your next best customer is usually the customer that has bought from you before, because you already have their data. You can always even tailor offers to them. So you kind of need to aggregate that data into one place. And so most businesses do have CRMs, and for the uninitiated, CRM systems are just your customer relationship management systems. Now, some of them you can also use in collaboration with your sales team. So if they need to track the people who are coming into your into your lead system. So case in point, Nextforward, we get leads from different sources. We have a sales team that ideally will work with these leads to make sure that they get to the end of the enrollment. During all those stages where they submit, start the application, submit the application, you can have a view of those different segments of people, and you can always market to them differently. Probably someone who's very close to actually enrolling, probably it's a price issue. You can always extend a scholarship, a discount, an offer. And that's the beauty about collecting all this data. And I do believe some of you are, still have brick and mortar stores. People check out, come to your store in person, and they actually buy from you. Just make sure that you have a POS system, a point of sale system, where you can actually collect this data, whether it's a phone number after they pay via M-Pesa, could be a pay bill, could be a till number. And I believe we're not all Kenyans and probably all from Africa who are using M-Pesa. So that's the mobile money software that we do have in Kenya and across other African countries. I do believe they've been expanding quite a lot. And really, it's just in a bid to collect all this data from all these different channels. Now, you can tend to then waste time looking at data from all these channels, individually. And so what I then recommend is that you look for a tool, and we'll go through the different tools that are in the market for this, where you kind of just integrate that data into one platform. Now, why is that important? It's because of the second feature of data-driven marketing, where we get to the data analysis and insights part. Collecting this data is good, but if you're not going to use this data to at least pick out an insight, then it's really not, helping you in any way. But then it kind of has to go through a process. So the first process that we talked about is that you've integrated this data into one platform. But then the other thing that you need to do is that once you have it in one platform, you need to clean it. Most of the times when you're getting this data, whether it's from your survey, whether it's from social media channels, sometimes there are a lot of duplicates. Probably someone filled in a lead twice. So their data point is appearing twice. Some of it may be, one metric in one channel. That means another thing in another channel, but from the standardized format, they all mean the same thing to the business. It's putting them in the same column. And also, you're just looking at a bunch of numbers. So it's always advisable to also just use visualization tools. And again, we'll go through some of the options in the market to actually, then visualize this data into charts, into graphs, so that you can just be able to pick up, the different patterns, the different trends, the different proportions in your pie charts and everything, percentages of your audience in different groups, to just analyze, how is your campaign doing? How are people behaving when they get to your website? It could be that, if you have a website that people are scrolling all the way to the very end to actually click on the call to action button and proceed to checkout. Maybe you then realize that, if you have that button at the very end of your page and you have that button at the very beginning of your page, people still go to the bottom of the page. That means they kind of want to read the information that you have up until the very end. So probably having a call to action quite high might not be possible. And I'll also tell you about a tool that helps you just see the movement of people while they're scrolling through your website and how they actually behave once they're on your website. Now, once you pick all these insights, what are you really going to use them for? Gets in, the optimization efforts. So in marketing, as business owners, what we are always really doing when we are optimizing our marketing efforts is going into our STP framework. Now, STP usually just means segmentation, targeting, and positioning. But then I just switched positioning for personalization, and I'll explain why. So segmentation is really when you have very many, again, going back to the example of where you brought in different products, you shipped in a lot of different products in different categories. you have segments for each product, but then probably you just want to focus on one product. That means you'll have to target just one of those segments at that particular point. That's called your target audience. So you're able to, target that relevant target audience at that particular point. And you're able to then personalize the messaging, because then you're just speaking to them and not to everyone else that you can target. And what that allows you to do is that then you can just tailor your content to them. And it's not just content. Most of the people just stop at the point where they're tailoring their content to that particular target audience. It's also thinking, probably if you have different social classes, right? You have a premium brand that targets a higher social class, and you have, some cheaper items that or small ticket items that target a lower social class, then probably the offers might be different. You're probably giving more offers to the ones in the lower LSMs, and less offers to the ones in the higher LSMs, just because they have a higher propensity to spend. You probably also just want to tailor the offers to those different segments, and you're just looking at what are their individual behaviors, what are their preferences, and this is just in a bid to increase their engagement with both your content, but also conversion with the offers that you're actually crafting for them. Now, there are different ways to analyze this data. So we've collected the data, we are sort of analyzing it to pick insights that can help us in our optimization efforts. The data collection part, it's easy, or rather it's something that's quite straightforward, because then you probably create a form, send it out as a survey for your social media channels, probably have a dev team that can help you set up, those tracking codes in the websites. But then analyzing that data is a skill that you really have to hone. Now, there are 3 ways you can analyze data. The first one is the descriptive analysis. Now, this just really means, what are you seeing from the data? Like, how can you describe what you're seeing? If it's a chart, or maybe you're looking at a line graph, what's that trend? Is it going up? Do you have troughs? Do you have peaks? If it's a trend that, you note in the data, how do you then make an insight out of that? And then you're also looking at behavior. And we're going to talk about a tool that's called, that shows you data in terms of heat maps. And for those people who maybe watch football here, heat maps are just where you see most activity. So in a website, you can have a page where you're seeing most activity is actually in, probably a description that you're giving on your product. So most people maybe land on your page and want to read more about your product. And so they spend majority of their time there. So you can always see in the heat maps where people are spending majority of their time. So that's what you're seeing. The next thing is predictive. Okay, so from what you're seeing, what should you expect? That's the predictive analysis part. So it's really based on what have you seen in the past. So historical data, it's, if this has happened in the past and we saw this happen, the fact that we are seeing this now, then we should expect this to happen now. That's when you have historical data. For some of you, probably it's a fast foray. You've just started collecting data. You don't have any historical data. You don't have a benchmark that you can use that can tell you what to expect. There are a couple of ways you can go about it. So a bit advanced, but you have statistical models like linear regression. So basically they take a known value and then they extrapolate to give you an unknown value. So you can use such, and especially if you can then invest in a data person to join your team. But then there are also machine learning options that are there, software that you can also use to actually predict, what's going to happen given the data that you've been able to collect. And lastly, it's the most advanced one. It's called prescriptive analysis. So prescriptive analysis is really, going a step further and telling you what to actually do, what course of action to take. So it actually gives you recommendations. Descriptive, what are you seeing? Predictive, what should you expect? Prescriptive, what do you recommend? So it combines data, the data that you have, the predictive algorithms that you've set up in place, and now the optimization techniques that you usually have. Now, there are a couple of AI models that are coming into the market for this. So, AI has been so good at just, giving you answers whenever you need them. So there are particular models where you feed them this data, tell them what you actually want to see, and ask them what you can actually do, and they'll actually spit that out, and you'll find it very relevant to your business. Now, I'm going to stop. It's quite a mouthful. Data analysis in itself is, quite a heavy topic. It's, a whole discipline by itself. And I just kind of want to throw it back to you guys in our audience and run a quick poll to just understand how many of you have actually, ran sort of a market research or just played around to understand your customer or the market. And I'll throw it to Robert to ideally run it and tell us what people say.
Thank you, Alex. Wow, quite a bit of insights there in the first section of this webinar. I'm a marketer myself, and I found myself taking quite a bit of notes here, descriptive, predictive analysis. I mean, there's so much that we can use out there to help us improve our marketing. I think one thing that really struck me from something that you said, at times as businesses and maybe even as marketers by extension, we forget that we could be, let's say, targeting, the right market, but we're going in there with the wrong messaging and vice versa. So we have to be very, very cognizant of all these factors if we are going to be successful in business and in marketing as a whole. So I think we want, as Alex has mentioned, we want to throw it back to you, the audience. From everything that you've had, let us know, how do you do your marketing research, right? When you're there looking at your business and you're looking, trying to consider various options as to how you can improve your marketing, what channels you're going to use, what kind of messaging you're going to use, how exactly do you do your marketing research? And we just want to put up a poll where you'll just quickly tell us, how exactly do you do your marketing research? So to the backend team, please, can we have that poll up? Fantastic. And you can see there, the question is, how do you do your marketing or your market research? The first question there is, I run customer surveys. Do you go back to your customers and ask them, was this product good? Was this product bad? I know, for example, as well, international, this is something that we do quite a bit whenever we're running programs, whenever we're running initiatives. Even initiatives such as these are very, very good forum for us to connect or collect data and get customer sentiments through customer surveys. The second option there is I ask family and friends. Do you have a tech-savvy friend, a tech-savvy uncle, a tech-savvy brother, or maybe even a guru in business we usually go to and ask, how are you seeing the market and what should I do? Maybe they are very own predictive analysis, as Alex has told us. You can also see there, do you read materials? Alex has mentioned things like AI. Do you read articles? Do you read newspapers? Right? To get a little bit more information in terms of how to do your market research. And then finally, there could be those of you, and I can see there are a few of you here, who don't do any research. You just go to the market and hope for the best. Maybe it has worked for you for some time. So fantastic. Just let us know. I can see the results are streaming in slowly. I can see a majority of you are actually running customer surveys, which is a very, very good thing. For those of you who are asking your family and friends, maybe you can tell us in the chat, is that your dad? Is that your uncle? Is it your brother? Is it your sister? Yeah. And for those of you who don't do any research, where are you doing this marketing in? Maybe we could be doing all these things and maybe we just need to go to the market and and proceed. Yeah, so let's just give it one more minute or just a few 10 seconds or so. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity to answer, I can see streaming in. Good. So Alex, I think we, from what I'm seeing here in terms of our responses, I think running surveys takes the cake. A majority of our audience is running surveys to figure out, what their customers need and what their customers want, and then followed in closely by reading. There are quite a number of readers here. They're reading newspapers. They're perhaps using AI, reading blogs, articles, and then you have a couple who ask their friends and family as well as do some research. And maybe now, Alex, as we move forward, we are doing all this, we are collecting all this data, we're using all these tools, both human and non-human tools. So what do we do with all this data that we've collected? What's the best way to use it as we move forward? So Alex, let me just hand it over back to you to let us know all this data we're collecting. Are we just going to throw it in our desk somewhere, or what do we do with it?
Awesome. So what we just did was data collection, and what Robert went through was just an analysis where he just picked out, what are people said, and made some assumptions based on the data, who they actually might be talking to, whether it's family or friends. And really that's, that data analysis process that he just did there. And that's why I thought, a poll right in between here can just show us how, data collection and analysis, takes place. And so, customer surveys, and right before I jump into, how you can then use this, are usually one of the best, just because you're actually getting it from the people who are most of the times buying from you. So they're going to give you critical feedback that you need to take in for your business or for your marketing campaigns. And really, going on to, how do you then use this data to actually improve your marketing, to improve your product, to improve, generally your business process. For data-driven marketing, you're really using this data to improve your audience segmentation and targeting. Now, we've already touched a bit about this, but then I just want to give you an insight into how to actually do it. So if you remember, again, we'll go back to the third feature of data-driven marketing, which is the STP framework, where we talked about segmentation, targeting, and in this case, personalization. We'll start off with segmentation and targeting. So there are really three ways that you can categorize your audience. There's a demographic, there's a psychographic, and there's a behavioral. Demographic is just, when you actually divide your market or audience into, categories based on their age. So you can have like different age brackets. So probably, this category falls in the age of 18 to 24. There's a 25 to 34. There's probably a 45 to 54. And then you have gender. Are you targeting both genders? Is it just male? Is it just female? Income, it's also a way that you can also gauge, the people that you want to target, because then you kind of get a glimpse of their propensity to spend based on how much disposable income they do have. Education is another one. So most of the times, education and social class kind of aligns, and also occupation, just because when you're looking at different social classes, then, you tend to find, and there's one particular one that, I'd urge everyone to have a look at. It's called the, the social grid. It's called an NPS social grid. So it rates from A to E, and there is C1 and C2 in between. But A, B, and C1 are actually the higher classes, and you find them in managerial positions. They are professionals. They are earning more than the rest of the classes, and they're probably, highly educated. Then you have the other lower classes, the C2, D, and E. You find them in unskilled labor or semi-skilled labor, and even some of them are unemployed, and you find them less educated. So it's just good to also just divide them that way, because then it also, determines how you're going to communicate to them. The other thing is marital status. Are you talking to a bachelor? Are you talking to a young couple? Are you talking to a young couple that has just started a family? What's a family size is also another thing that you're looking at. How many kids do they have? One other contentious one, as the social classes, as more and more people tend to not consider it, is ethnicity, especially given that it's a bit polarizing. So it's gonna be, when you're actually even marketing it in the more traditional channels, are you going to vernacular radio stations? Which vernacular radio station are you going to? So it's just good to know, if your brand or product is geared towards a particular ethnicity. The other thing is psychographic segmentation. So psychographic is more on, things that you can't really put a pin on. You can sort of just you sort of have to observe it. One thing is personality traits. The people you're targeting, are they loyal to brands, or they're people who are gonna be loyal to your brand as long as you're giving them offers? And the moment you take away the offer, they no longer subscribe or buy whatever goods or service you're selling. The other thing, are they analytical? Do you then have to communicate to them to appeal to how they think about the product, or do you just have to appeal to their emotions for them to actually buy from you? So you also have to look at that side of things. And then you also have to look at their lifestyle choices, because you will find they probably are in they're probably in C2, in a lower social class, but then their lifestyle choice does not reflect that. They probably earn less than what you expect, but they're probably living in locations where you find the A, B, and C one. So you also have to look at, does it correlate to what you should expect with their income, occupation, and education levels? Which cars are they driving? Where do they live? Which schools do they take their kids? The other thing is interests. What do they do once they're on the internet? Which websites are they looking at? Are they interested in news, in politics? Are they interested in religion? What are their values? Do they care about, their status? Are they more into their social status and buying for that particular reason? Are they more into the functionality of something? They don't really care about, if it's economical or not. And then there are others who are just economical. They don't care about functionality. They don't care about status. As long as it's economical, they will definitely buy, and especially for the automotive, example I was giving before. And then, you can also look at other things like, what are their goals in life? What are their frustrations? What are their motivations? I usually say marketing, really from a grand scheme of things, is either solving a pain point or it's increasing pleasure. So if you're able to either do both of those, then you can really narrow down to what people value the most. Lastly, it's the behavioral segmentation. So behavioral really, and that's why performance marketing does exist, is because nowadays you can track if, from the point where someone, knows about their problem to the point they actually purchase. So the different levels of awareness. There's a way you speak to someone who doesn't know they have a problem to make them aware of their problem. There's a way you speak to someone who already knows they have a problem and, they know there are solutions out there. They just don't know which solutions they are. There are people who know about solutions, but they don't know about the solution that you're offering. So you kind of have to speak to them, introducing yourself as a solution. And then there are people who know about they know about you offering that solution, but they also kind of know about other people or other brands that offer the same solution. So you kind of have to convince them why you. So you have to differentiate yourself. Now there's another person who's then considered all the competitors that you have, chosen you, but they're still unsure. So you kind of have to then convince them, either by giving them an offer, handling any objections that they have. And really, you can see this entire process by their behavior. So it could be that you can look at their purchase history. What have they bought from you before? Is it something complementary that you can upsell them or cross-sell at the same time? Is it their browsing patterns? Do you find that when they come to your website, and going back to the website that we were talking about of household goods, do they, look at pots more than they look at pans? In terms of engagement, do they spend more time looking at pots more than pans? And do you need to then promote pots more than pans? I'm just using that as an example. So you're able to see all this data and segment people based on their behavior, their psychographic data, but also their demographics to really narrow down and communicate and be personal to them. Now, you've collected all these data and grouped them according to these three segmentations. How do you then personalize your messaging? Now, we've already spoken about this before, where you have to personalize your marketing campaigns. We've talked about tailoring your messaging. We've talked about tailoring your offers to those particular segments. You need to tailor your content to those particular segments. And what you're taking into consideration is, what are their preferences? Have they interacted with you before? What's their purchasing behavior when they actually come to your website? And then the other things that we've talked about, their demographics and their psychographics. And really, this is in a bid to actually convert them. But even more than just convert them is to make them loyal. Because again, your next best customer is a customer that you've sold to before. So how do you keep them coming back? Now, you can't tailor content without having this data and segmenting your audience. So it has to follow this sort of 3 steps. Collect your customer data, analyze it, segment your audience into the different groups, and then now tailor content for those particular groups to enhance your customer experience. Now, we've talked about, data analysis, we've talked about marketing, but then which are the tools that are actually in the market for you to be able to do this? So there are basic tools that I'm going to cover. The basic tools and technologies for data-driven marketing. These are the very basic ones which I'm expecting most people have used. And just starting with the center one that most people talked about is that they do a lot of surveys. Now, I know most people, maybe do it for customer feedback more than they do it for product research. But then you've probably used Google Forms before. It's a very popular one that most people use. Typeform is a competitor just because it allows you to visualize the data in more ways. But then I think they have a paid tier after, getting more than 50 responses in a month. And then you have SurveyMonkey, which is also a competitor to both and also has its priced tiers. But then you also have every social media tool usually has its own insights page or insights tool. Most businesses I know on Facebook and Instagram, there is Meta Business Suite. So that's a very fast logo that you can see there. The way you access it is just go to business.facebook.com. If you have a Facebook page or an Instagram page, and you'll find that insights tool where you can just look at your organic data. But also if you're boosting ads on Instagram or Facebook, then you can also see some data from that. And I'll explain the difference between boosting an ad and promoting an ad, because boosting doesn't really allow you to narrow down to those different segments and really personalize your message to the very target audience that you actually want. But then if you also have a LinkedIn business page, there is an insights tool on the admin section. And if you're also running, your business page on TikTok, there's TikTok for Business that also has the insights based on how people are interacting with your content. Now, there's one that, most people tend to ignore, but it's actually quite important. It's they're called sentiment analysis tools. And what they really do is that they help you gauge public perception. Now, they will look at, are people mentioning you on different platforms? Most of the times you'll find people are mentioning you in platforms such as X, which was formerly known as Twitter. So you can sort of follow up on those conversations. Where is your brand being mentioned? What are people saying about you? What are their opinions? Because they're not addressing you directly. Some of them will not even put your art. They won't tag your account. And so the tool is able to pick up just by the mention of that brand. But then you can even narrow down and go to, are they talking about a particular product that your brand offers, and get what's the emotion around it? Are people negative? Are people positive? What are people saying? Should you bring, more products of this type more than other products of this other type? What's the general attitude in the industry? It helps you gauge, is it the right time to, either scale your business? Is it the right time to change, your business completely and, do a whole pivot? So they're good tools to actually have, because you might not be able to keep tabs with everything that people are saying online, especially related to your brand, product, or industry. But then if you have these tools, then you can actually narrow down to those particular conversations that don't necessarily mention you. But then there are more essential tools. And I'll start off with the analytics tool. So I did talk about, the essence of just having a website for your brand, because you're able to just get a lot of data that allows you to segment your audience even further. The more narrowed down your target audience is, the more personal you're going to be with them, the more engagement you're going to get, the more conversions you're going to drive. Now, Google Analytics 4 is usually one of the best. Actually, I don't think there's a competitor to it, or rather, the rest of the competitors don't have as much functionality as it does. It does both web and app. So I know there are probably people here who already have an app for their business, and you're probably already using Google Analytics 4. I think it's called Firebase if you're looking at app analytics, but it also offers the analytics based on how people are moving through your app. The one I was talking about for heat maps, it's called Hotjar. So you can always look at, individual sessions. For most tools like Google Analytics, where you can't single out someone, but Hotjar, you can single out, a particular session. So you can see, probably in the last 5 minutes, 3 people visited your website. Excuse me. You can be able to see, the last person who actually came to your website, how did they interact? So you can see their scroll motion, how they scrolled till the very end, where they spent majority of the time. There might be a darker shade there, just showing you that they spend a lot of time there. You will see which buttons they clicked, so you can know which call to action buttons to actually move around. Do you need to move the call to action to the very bottom or to the very top, depending on where they're clicking it the most? And then you have Mixpanel. So Mixpanel is usually important if you have a digital product. And in this case, I mean like a web app. You may be running a software as a service. Probably you have a mortgage calculator, or any other, I believe, digital product that you can sort of see people moving through the funnel. How it helps is that, probably Google Analytics 4, Firebase for app will show you the different steps that people are taking, but then you can sort of now visualize it in Mixpanel by, creating like a funnel. So you can see how people are tracking through that funnel. So if it's how many people have downloaded, have then moved to signing up, have then moved to maybe converting on the app by booking or buying something, you can always segment them by those groupings. And the good thing about it is that it's providing real-time data, so you don't have to worry about, look back windows or having to just select last 7 days or last 30 days. You can actually see data streaming in real time. And then you have now the ad platforms. So remember, I talked about there's a difference between boosting an ad and promoting an ad. When you're actually promoting, you're using the ad platforms, you're using the ad managers or the campaign managers that these different social media tools have. So there's one Google native one, it's called Google Ads. It allows you to run search. So the ads that you see when you search for something on Google, it allows you to run YouTube ads. And it also allows you to run display ads. So display are those banners that you see in different websites. But then there's also Meta. So Meta will allow you to run ads on Facebook, Instagram, on Messenger, and they also have their own audience network of websites and apps where they can show your ads. Similar to LinkedIn, it's able to show on LinkedIn, but you're also able to target people in their inboxes and also their audience network of apps and messages. And this is where, personalization comes in. You might find an ad from us, from Nextford, and it's probably going to call you out. It's going to address you with your name. Some of the times it might also mention what you do so that we can align whatever you do to a course that we think might be a good fit for you. And the only reason we're able to do that is the amount of data that we're able to collect from these particular ad platforms. Last, we have the customer relationship management tools. I did talk about them, where you aggregate your customer data. We have, HubSpot, which is a mid-tier one. Zoho is a good entry one in terms of pricing. And then we have Salesforce that tends to be more enterprise facing. So again, just make sure that you're pulling all your customer data into these tools, because then what you can do is that, again, you can work with your sales team to track people through the funnel. But then the good thing is that you can then relay that data back, and most of the times to your ad platforms, so that now you can target different segments. Probably the example that I was giving, you might just target people who've probably started their application. And again, I'm just giving an example of Nextword. We might take people who signed up as a lead but went ahead to start the application, and we target them with probably a message about, our price is increasing and they definitely have to enroll as fast as they can, because we already know that message. We resonate with them because they've already known about Nextword. It's just that they haven't, gotten to enroll. So there are different ways that you can ideally use the data that you're getting into your CRMs. And then lastly, we have the advanced tools. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time here. I'm just going to highlight who they're useful for. First one, mobile measurement. So if you have an app, it's always good to have mobile measurement platforms, or what we call MMPs. So they just go a bit granular into the tracking and attribution of, cohorts. It can segment cohorts. So it can take people who joined or downloaded your app during a particular period and signed up during a particular period, because maybe you want to extend an offer for people who've been with you for more than a year. So a couple of tools in the market, there's Adjust, there's AppsFlyer, and there's Branch. But then Hyros, Triple Whale, and NotBeamer, for anyone who's here and they're in e-commerce, attribution has been really hard for e-commerce, especially for e-commerce websites, just because there's a lot of privacy issues, and we'll speak about it in the challenges of data-driven marketing, where you kind of need a third-party tool to do your attribution. Next up, we have your business intelligence and automation tools. So we have Looker, which is a Google native app. We have Tableau, and we have Power BI. So really, they're the ones which now help you in terms of visualizing your data. So you can visualize, you can create your graphs, you can create your pie charts, you can create your charts. So they just help you visualize all this raw data that you're getting after you've cleaned it and standardized it. And lastly, we have some other tools that are worthy of mentioning. So these are the ones you can consider. So the way we talked about, bringing all these channel data into one place, Supermetrics is a good tool for that. Actually, it's one that we also use at Nextword. So it just brings data into one place, into one sheet, and then you can always use that sheet to then visualize your data or connect it to Looker to actually do the visualization. But then you might find some tools might not connect. Probably LinkedIn might not connect to Zoho. It might not relay that data to Zoho, and probably that's the customer relationship management tool you're using. You can always use connectors such as Zapier. And then lastly, I talked about how, if you want these social media platforms to give you insight into the people who maybe clicked on an ad in that particular platform and went to your website, you kind of have to link both of them. So what we use for that, they're called tag managers. So there is one popular one, Google Tag Manager. So you can use it to connect the tracking codes to the back end of your website with just one code, and it will track, your Facebook pixel, your LinkedIn Insight tag, all the tags that you have in the different social media platforms to track users from the platform to your website. Now, it's quite a mouthful, but I'm almost there. So lastly, we're going to just look at some of the challenges that are there in data-driven marketing. One is definitely data privacy and security. So increasingly, and we also saw it happen in Kenya maybe like 3 years ago, where we had an Office of Data Protection Commissioner. So as much as you're collecting all these data, some people haven't consented to using that using that data to actually target them. So you always have to keep up with the law, make sure that you're not invading people's privacy. And also, if they allow you to actually use their data for marketing, that you don't sell that data. So you also need to assure them of the security of their data. Next up is just how you manage this data. When you're collecting too much data, it might be hard to actually manage it and integrate it. So it's always good if you can invest in a data team or a data person to actually do this. It helps. Lastly, it's just the interpretation. So sometimes it can be hard to pick out insights, but as long as you have that domain expertise, you can always look at how you can just pick what is needed. And then, as I talked about, the tools that give you real-time data. So also just figuring out how do you actually utilize this data when it's actually hitting you real time, because then you have to interpret it as it comes. One case in point is probably you have a sale and there's a lot of people come into your website. Are your servers able to manage that? So you can always keep abreast of that. Then you have balancing personalization and privacy. It's a good thing when you actually personalize your message and actually call out someone in your messaging, like, hey, Robert, but then they might feel like, okay, how do you know my name? I didn't give you my name, so you shouldn't know my name. So there's that part of just balancing personalization and privacy so that they don't feel like you're being creepy or invading their privacy. And lastly, measuring ROI, as I've talked about, attribution is becoming harder and harder as people opt out of being even shown ads sometimes or sharing their data. So sometimes you might lose out in, measuring this return on investment and also just the effectiveness of the data-driven marketing efforts that you're doing. So in a quick conclusion, we've talked about what data-driven marketing is. It's just an approach that is fueled by this data strategy, the data that you're getting to make an informed strategy. And that just helps you to improve your personalization, to just personalize and tailor experiences to your audience, to the different segments, to your different target audiences, to just increase that engagement and conversions. The next thing is just better decision making. You can't just be shooting at in the dark every other time. Just make sure that even when you're coming up with marketing campaigns, it's based on the data that you're getting from your customers. Next thing is just optimizing your efforts. So if you're running any test, you want to test out, 2 different variables. A/B testing helps with that. You can get the data and know which option to go with, and also that real-time analysis of the results that you're getting to improve your ROI. And lastly, if you're able to figure this all out, then you can always retain your customers and see that customer loyalty improve in terms of the lifetime customer value. Tried covering it in as short time as possible so that I can just allow for the Q&A section. So hopefully it was informative, but I'm definitely up for any questions that arose during the session.
Fantastic presentation, Alex. And Alex, I'm just looking through the chat section. I can see Gerald here saying Alex is smart. I'm sure we all agree. Let's give Alex a thumbs up using the react button at the bottom. That was really, really insightful. I can also see Paul here saying, I like this guy, Alex. So Alex, it seems like you're a celebrity in the making.
Looks like it.
Fantastic work. I know we are short of time, but I would kindly just request you to just stick with us for about 10 minutes. We do have some very interesting questions in the chat that we want to get to, and then we can close the session. So quickly, Alex, I can see a question here from CPA Frederick Mayo, and he's briefly touching on what you talked about in terms of data protection. And he says, we are aware of the data protection perspective in Kenya and the consequences businesses have to face due to using data without the consent of the data subject, e.g. mobile loan apps? How do we ensure the data collected is omits the consent of the data subject?
So thanks for that question. It's a really good question. And I think the very basic one that you find on most forms and on most websites is just that consent box at the very bottom. So you just make it clear when someone fills in this data, at the very bottom, you're quite clear on, we will use this data for so and so. If you consent to this, please tick on this box. So the fact that they've given you that consent, make sure that you also have your terms and conditions. So in case you use their data for other reasons, then they can sue you. But for the fact that you've told them that it's probably going to be used for marketing purposes, then they can't really sue you just because they gave you consent after ticking that box. So usually I just recommend it. It's the most basic one, but it works just because you're just getting consent straight from the consumer at the point at which you're collecting this data. But then the other thing is just being wary of third-party data sources. So just don't get data from any other company, especially if you're buying it for marketing purposes, because if they didn't, go through this step of actually consenting when they were collecting it, then it might also affect your brand at the end of the day. So just make sure even when you're getting third-party data, it's actually from a source that you can trust.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we have a question from Majok Deng. And Majok is asking, first of all, he thanks you for such an insightful presentation, but he's also asking, market research is critically important for business success, but it takes resources and time to understand the market trends. What advice do you have for small startups that don't have huge resources to cushion to or fall back on? So basically, we know this challenge, SMEs, may not have the resources to access all the tools that you've shared there. So what advice would you have for them, Alex?
All right, so I think, starting off with the most basic one, which is surveys. You don't have to use SurveyMonkey, Typeform, which sort of have the price tiers. You can sort of go for the free tools like Google Forms to actually run your surveys. But then when it comes to the rest of the tools, I think most of them have a free tier that might not give you the full functionality, but you're still able to collect data that is necessary either for the free trial period or, for that freemium bit of it without the extra paid features that you get the full suite of products. So if you can make use of the freemiums and the free trials, and also just make use of those free tools that don't even have the pricing tiers in them.
Excellent advice. And just to the SMEs here, those freemiums are usually a gateway to greater tools. So once you use that maybe for a month or two and you see the use for that particular tool, then you don't have to input so much money in the beginning when you're trying. And that can help you sort of gauge whether this is a tool that is also beneficial or not to your business. Great. Next, we have Gitonga. Gitonga is asking, and this one for Gitonga seems personal. My marketing team is very good at getting leads, but closing leads is a serious challenge. What can you advise as a solution for converting leads into my clients? Gitonga, I don't know whether your sales team is here to defend themselves. But Alex, what advice can you give for people who have very good marketing leads, but when it comes to conversion, it's not really, they're not really converting?
All right, so I guess one thing, and I guess it's just tied to lead nurturing. So meaning the leads that you're generating are quality. It's just the nurturing part where either a sales team is part of the process, or maybe you're using other marketing automation, like probably you're sending out SMS every so often, emails every so often. If you maybe have an app, you're probably sending notifications or in-app messages every so often. Is really trying to see if we can segment those leads based on what objections do they actually have that they have that they haven't actually gone ahead and bought from you, so you can then use that in your messaging. So if, say, the objection is price, then you can sort of find a way to talk about your price in a way that doesn't seem like it's putting them off. So it could be that you tell them, you can pay in installments, or you can look at, the price of actually the cost of what you're actually losing out, the opportunity cost, and just try to make sense of whatever objection they're having so that you can handle it in your message. The other thing really is what we were talking about. Try and relay that data back to your advertising channels if you're actually advertising, so that you can speak to them according to their objection. So one way, use the marketing automation for email SMS to actually communicate to them, but also try and spend a bit more on advertising to just be on their faces every other time. Trust you me, once I'm tired of seeing you all across the different platforms running as an ad, trying to convince me, I'm probably gonna cave in at some point. And so that's how you just make sure that you squeeze the juice out of those leads that haven't converted.
Okay. Thank you for that, Alex. I'm just gonna quickly pick two more. I do know that we're running out of time. As you know, Alex, AI is a very big topic right now, not just in marketing, but in terms of business and supporting businesses. So we have a question here from Jess asking, what are some AI tools that we can use for doing analysis?
So I'll start off with a very basic one, ChatGPT. It's one that I've been using almost on a daily. And the way that I'm using it, and I'll just share it as a hack, is that I have it open on one screen as I'm working on the other screen. And anytime I hit, a blocker, the first thing I do is that I actually go to ChatGPT to just give me a first draft of whatever I'm working on. So it will just give me a guide on what to actually consider. And then I'm just able to start or problem solve from a point of, a bit of knowledge. But then in terms of marketing specific tools, it depends on context. So the good thing about GPT-4 is that you can have specific GPTs for different use cases. So for example, there might be a GPT that, generates images for your marketing campaigns. You might have GPTs or tools that, can come up with copy or messaging. One good one, I think, is copy.ai, where you can just go, tell it your audience, tell it what's the pain point or the pleasure that, you kind of want to maximize for your audience, and it will give you copy. And the way that I actually come up with it is you can tell it to come up with copy in a particular style. A style that I use is, I tell it to write copy like David Ogilvy will write. So if you know David Ogilvy, one of the best copywriters, it will probably, give me a rough draft, and then I can sort of now, make it a bit more human, which is another thing when you're using AI tools. Just make sure that it's only a draft. Don't use it as it is. Try and humanize it, because that's the only aspect that it's missing. But I'd say ChatGPT, let it guide you. Then you can use the different GPTs that have different use cases.
Thank you for that, Alex. And maybe even as you're saying that, I'm already thinking maybe our next topic should be that, how businesses can integrate AI and utilize it to their benefit. So finally, Alex, as we close, I do see a couple of questions, but I'm just going to pick one as we close. I see one from Brian. Brian says, hi, Alex. I run an insurance agency and recently placed a banner at the entrance gate of my estate to attract local clients without conducting a survey first. Do you think this marketing approach is likely to succeed without initial data? Also, how can I better integrate it with digital strategies to reach a wider audience? So there's someone there who has buy one, get one free banner their business, and they're trying to figure out how to integrate digital aspects.
Oh yeah, so the good thing is that you've already started, and it's a very local approach. It may be offline, but you're probably gonna find a way to, you're gonna find maybe one or two customers. I can't really tell you whether it's gonna work or not. I don't know the segmentation of the audience in that particular estate. Hopefully, it does work. The fact that you did it also without a survey, I wouldn't say that it will affect the performance of that marketing effort. The only thing that you then maybe need to test is, okay, if you place that banner there and you place it somewhere else, the A/B testing, does it convert more? Maybe it was on a different street or in a different estate. But then, if you're then looking at how then can you place those banners across the internet, it's what I was talking about, Google Ads display campaigns. So they're literally just banners that will appear across different websites or apps. And it could just be the same design that you use, but then you just come up with the different dimensions that these platforms usually require. And then you select the web. You can either narrow it down to the website that you actually want to place this on, but you can also just choose the audience, and then it will, the algorithm will follow around your audience in the apps and websites that they actually go on. So you don't actually have to know which websites and apps those are. So that's a way you can sort of just use that physical banner, offline banner on an online ad channel. I'd recommend Google Ads display campaign. If you want to go a bit more broad, probably it's for an insurance company, if you are looking at maybe health or motor, it tends to be quite broad in terms of the user that you're going for. So if you still want to run the same banner, but to the website that you can't easily access, like Citizen Digital, Nation Digital, you can consider programmatic channels such as MediaPal and Eskimi.
Thank you, Alex. I think in the interest of time, we will close there. Thank you all to those of you who have had your questions in the chat section. Unfortunately, we can't get to all of them, but if you look to your screen, you can see Alex's LinkedIn page there, his email address, his phone number. He's even given you where to find him. So if you want to pay him a visit at Sanlam Towers, feel free. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Alex. I think that was really an insightful session. I think as you were talking, it quickly became apparent that 1 hour is not enough. So we need to organize another session where we'll come in and perhaps maybe do something a little bit longer where we can cover quite an array of issues. But I just want to say thank you, Alex. And maybe to our audience, let's just give Alex a round of applause. I think that was a fantastic presentation. Yes, and you can see there, Alex, I can see a couple of love hearts also coming in. So a great appreciation from the audience. So ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I would like us to kindly close there. I want to maybe just take this opportunity to just thank Alex once again for that insightful presentation. And to you, the audience, thank you so much. I do know that we extended beyond the time that we had discussed, but thank you for sticking with us until the end. We do hope that you found the webinar to be insightful. We do these webinars because of you, and we really like to hear that you've enjoyed them, and we really like to see or appreciate when you engage with us and interact with us through these sessions. So a big thanks to the audience. Next, I'd want to thank Nexford University, who have been our partners in convening this webinar. Thank you so much. As you may have heard from Joy, who initially gave her presentation, there's quite a bit that Nexford offers. So make sure that you go over to their website, make sure that you go over to their social media pages. Alex will be in the back end tracking your heat map, trying to see where you're landing so that you can make sure that you have the best experience on their website. So make sure that you go on over there and see all the programs. As I'd mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we do have a surprise for you that we are bringing to you in partnership with Nexford. Christmas has come a bit early. As you have heard from Joy, there are quite a number of courses that Nexford is offering. And as a consequence of our partnership with Wild, between Wild and Nexford, we will be offering a partial scholarship to all the people who would be interested in pursuing some courses this coming December. We will be sharing with you the links as to how you can access those particular courses. So look over to the chat section if you have a particular course that has been mentioned by Joy, or if you know someone who has been really keen or interested in pursuing a higher education. I know myself, I've been postponing getting a master's for quite some time, and I might just, have a chat with Joy and try and see, what exactly do they have to offer and how I can jump on that. So have a look at the chat section. We'll also be sharing this in your emails. So have a look at that. Please note that this offer ends by the end of the month. So this is for the courses coming up in December. So if you have a course that you have in mind, make sure that you just have a look and make a decision quickly, and you'll be able to enjoy that particular scholarship. I would also maybe just urge you to go over to the chat section as well. One of the things that keeps us going is the ability to know that we did well and the ability to know where we did wrong. So we are going to throw a link in the chat section. Please go over to Google, leave us a review, let us know how the session was. We'll also be sharing a larger, or let me say a more detailed feedback form, where we'll be looking to get your views as to whether the session, the moderators, the timing of the sessions, as we look to improve these sessions. We'll be very interested in finding your feedback. So go over to the chat section. Please take some time and fill out those forms. Please take some time and leave us a Google review. And also please take some time and follow all our social media pages. That's for Wild and Nexford, as well as our website. We will be sharing the recording for this webinar, so don't worry. All the great insights that Alex has shared you will have them, and we hope that you can use those to grow your business. We'll also be sharing the presentation as well as the scholarship code that I had mentioned. So I think with that, let me officially bring this webinar to a close. Thank you all once again. We really do appreciate you making time. And I think with that, let me wish you all a great evening ahead. If you're in Nairobi, I think if you're in South Africa, maybe it's the afternoon. Wherever you're joining us from, please have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
My name is Lucy Wanjau. I am the CEO, Target Mart Limited. Target Mart Limited is an FMCG distribution business, currently franchising and distributing for Zara Cosmetics in Kenya. So the challenge was the business, really. You know, I happened to grow a business over the last 5 years. And then one day, not one day, like over a period of time, I was just having challenges. One day it's consignment clearing, another day is HR, another day is a different thing. And I got to a point where I was just telling my husband, I'm ready to just close the doors and go home and raise my children. And then I started interacting with the Sandbox experts after that. During one that I attend Scalarizer. I have learned how to identify the customer and who and how to speak to the customer. I mean, not just the customer, but how do then you get to your target market? How do you speak to them? What language are they going to hear? And so that has led to, you know, smaller resources going to the right direction and reaching the right client and bigger impact with less resources. I attended a one-day workshop with other entrepreneurs conducted by the best trainers, I believe, very clear on, you know, strategy being everything I needed to do. I now have a fully implemented ERP system, and I have an outsourced HR person who has helped and trained the team on onboarding, managing resources, being HR, contracting, having specific job descriptions and performance reviews every so often for the team. Have I tried others? Maybe at the time of struggling and thinking how you can get yourself out of the problem, I tried thinking of probably setting up a board of directors. And so I had done this course for board readiness, and then Scalarizer made it even different by showing me not just getting other people on board who might just struggle as much without systems, and it was simpler just setting up the systems first, which is interesting because the systems have been able to resolve all those issues that we were having. I would very much recommend Scalarizer to business owners. So would I still do it 5 years in? I would. And even better then, when you already have built and the issue is probably laying down the structures. So it still works for both, whether you're starting the business and you want to come up with a strategy, identify what you need to invest in to achieve the overall goal that you're trying to achieve. I would recommend it.
I chose Nexford University because I wanted to experience the American education. Nexford University is fairly affordable in comparison to all other online universities that I saw. In addition, the learning style offered at Nexford suited very well with my learning style, and I thought that that was the best option for me. My Nexford degree has helped me in my career by opening up my horizons. I have gotten an edge in terms of career because of the upskilling and the additional knowledge I've been able to gather from my career, which I've been able to incorporate in my work, and that has just made me stand out from my team members.
I decided to choose an American university over a local one because based on my own findings, I find an American university is more advanced than most of the universities we have in Kenya, and that means even the skills that I'm getting are more advanced and they'll put me in a better place in the market. I would definitely recommend Nexford University to my fellow
technologically, and so I chose the American one over ours, knowing that America is well advanced beyond Kenyan status. Nexford degree has given me a lot of skills to grow my business. I have opened up my mind to a lot of new skills that I may have come across in the local studies, but Nexford gives me the experience of what I really need for the market.
I decided to join Nexford University because it is essentially a global community, the opportunity to work with colleagues from all over the world, as well as to be part of a company whose mission is to provide affordable quality education. I believe what sets Nexford apart from other universities is Nexford offers quality education and global business skills at an affordable price, as well as the curriculum is very flexible to easily fit within your schedule.
I believe what sets Nexford apart from other universities is because they're digital first. Now, if you look at most traditional universities, most of their curriculum and infrastructure was built for physical learning. And so if you look at Nexford, it was digital first. So that means that the infrastructure and curriculum that they built was built for online learning. And so they've been able to really close the gap in the education sector by delivering education in this kind of way, which allows them to be an industry leader. And I do believe for traditional universities to actually play catch up, it will take them a lot of time and effort to actually adapt their curriculum and also their infrastructure to get to where Nexford is.
I think Nexford is changing higher learning in Kenya because we are bringing in accessibility and affordability in higher education. When we talk about accessibility, we are a tech-enabled university, and what this does is that it breaks down the barriers to learning. And when we talk about affordability, it means that we are providing higher education to those who need it, and this is regardless of your age, your gender, or your socioeconomic demographics.